Welcome to Easy Learn Assembler Programming course. Upskill yourself in assembler programming with training from our experts. Suitable for working professionals who are in legacy system automation, working on assembler modules. This course has over 30 hours step-by-step video content. Learn all the required fundamentals of assembler programming language, how to debug assembler programs, how to integrate with COBOL, CICS, DB2, VSAM, and how to read the dump. Learn from the experts with 20+ years of real-time experience in the IT industry. Before that, let's watch a demo of the course where you start with the basic topics.
This is just a slight introduction to assembler. So it's a symbolic programming language, but it lies closest to the machine language in form and content. So it also uses our symbolic programming language, right? So the syntax, it has its own syntax and it has its own language structure, okay? But only difference is it is closely interacting with the machine language in form and content. So you will have a good understanding of the underlying machine. Whereas in COBOL and all, you'll be at a higher level, okay? And second thing is, it is very useful when to control your program closely. So up to the byte and even the bit level. So while coding in COBOL, you won't be thinking about bytes and bits, right? So you'll be thinking at a very higher level. But in case of assembler, you need to think at that level. So how your code will be converted into the machine language, that relation always you will have in mind. Whereas in COBOL, you write the code, you won't worry about what is the code that will be generated, machine code or the object code. But in assembler, you will get a hold of what will be happening when you convert it into object code. That also you will keep in mind. So when you write your program efficiently, sometimes when you're in COBOL, you leave it to the compiler to generate the code. But that also you can control when you write your programs in assembler. And then mostly it is used to write subroutines for functions that are not provided by symbolic programming languages such as COBOL, Fortran, or PLM. So one such example is the date routines. So in many of the shops, you will see the date routines kind of utilities written in assembler, because they are going to run many times within a program. So when you code such a routines, you want to be in an optimized way, so that the total runtime, right, it takes to execute those programs will be optimal and you won't be consuming much resources. Okay, so that is the overall high level listing for assembler. And second, you'll see, so as usual, like any other higher level program, the assembler program will consist of many statements. Okay, general, one assembler language statement corresponds to one machine language instruction. So ultimately, all your high-level statements will be converted into machine language object code. Okay, but in COBOL, one statement may be converted into many object level code. But in assembler, it is one machine language instruction will be generated from one statement. And for COBOL, you have a compiler. We call that program which converts it into machine language as compiler. Similarly, there is a assembler which converts your assembler programs into machine language. So in assembler language side, we don't use compiler. We call it as assembler. So that is another IBM program only, system program which does that job. So in each shop, you will have that assembler installed in your IBM machine. Normally you wouldn't have noticed, but it is always available for you. COBOL compiler, anyway, by default you will be using. Assembler is there, but only it will be useful when you are coding assembler programs. And one more very important distinction between assembler and COBOL is there is no separation between data and instructions. You can mix and match data and executable statements. So that is a very big difference, right? In COBOL, you have to segregate your data, you have to segregate your instructions, but in assembler, there is no need. Only thing is you have to bypass those data declarations and then your control should go to the executable instructions. So you have to make sure of that. Otherwise, you can mix both data and instructions. So this is a sample program, assembler program. So even just we have not gone into any of the assembler structure, right? So to give you a feel of the assembler, I have given a sample program. So what do you think is the executable statements and what do you think are the declarative statements, data declarations? A, B, ANS are data declarations and the first three statements are the executable statements. So it is very cryptic, right? It is not very intuitive unless you know the syntax. So this is how all your assembler programs will be. So it has a definite way to code the assembler programs, right? So in certain columns only you can code certain things. Okay, so that will all come later. Okay, but for now you can have a feel of the assembler program here. So what it does is it is declaring three variables and then it has three executable statements based on those variables. So in assembler we don't call it as variables, we call it as symbols, right? So they are called symbols. And A, B and ANS are three of the symbols we have declared. All of them are full words. We'll come back to see what is a full word and all. And the first three statements execute the load instruction, add instruction, and a store instruction. So your statements will be very cryptic like this only, but as you go along, as you know the statement, the instruction, different kind of instruction, then you will be able to understand.
So what are you waiting for? Call us to inquire and get certified and enhance your skills.